This is CBC Vancouver News.
I'm not sure if it hit the speedboat or not, but it sort of jumped in the air and did a nosedive over the top of the speedboats.
Several people are injured after a seaplane collides with a boat in Vancouver's Cole Harbour. Now the Transportation Safety Board is investigating.
And I understand about the daycare thing. I'm a grandmother and I know it's expensive, but you know what? This isn't the place.
I don't like cutting down trees either, but the need is very great.
Childcare controversy. Why a proposed childcare space in Cranbrook is getting pushback from some residents and why others say it's desperately needed. Plus,
secret to a happy life. Just enjoy everything.
A massive birthday milestone not many families get to experience. We meet a 108-year-old Vancouver senior who shares with us some of her secrets for a long and happy life. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Police say several people have been hospitalized after a seaplane collided with a pleasure boat in Vancouver's Cole Harbour near Stanley Park this afternoon. As Sohrab Sandhu reports, it was a shocking sight for onlookers who witnessed the plane hit the water.
A day of sightseeing was cut short for passengers on board Harbour Air Seaplane Saturday after the small plane crashed into a pleasure boat during takeoff.
It seemed to be going a bit slowly, but we saw two speedboats in front of it. And I'm not sure if it hit the speedboat or not, but it sort of jumped in the air and did a nosedive over the top of the speedboats.
Emergency crews responded within minutes of the incident, which Vancouver police say happened around 1 o'clock. The plane appears to have sank into the water following the crash. A spokesperson for TransLink says the captain of a sea bus passing by saw the plane in the water and quickly diverted the vessel to assist until the Coast Guard arrived.
The immediate reaction was that the boats in the area were coming in on top of it, and the police boats seemed to get there pretty quickly as well.
The Joint Rescue Coordination Centre says everyone on the boat and seaplane were rescued. Police have yet to confirm exactly how many people were injured, but says several people were taken to the hospital. A shocking sight for nearby onlookers.
Apparently, has a water plane crash somewhere over there.
This video captures the moment submerged plane was towed to the shore. Harbour Air confirms one of its plane collided with a boat, adding all 5 passengers on the aircraft and the pilot were uninjured. The seaplane company says it's working closely with the authorities to gather more information about the incident and are supporting those impacted by the collision. The Transportation Safety Board says it has deployed a team of investigators to Cole Harbour. Sohrab Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
A former Apollo 8 astronaut has been identified as the pilot who died in a plane crash east of North Saanich yesterday. Retired Major General Bill Anders was known for taking the iconic Earthrise photo in 1968. It was the first color image of Earth from space, changing the way humans viewed the planet. The San Juan County Sheriff's Office says around 11:40 in the morning, they received reports of an older model plane crashing into the water near the north end of Jones Island before sinking. In a statement, the Anders family says they are devastated. He was a great pilot. He will be missed. 4 men have been charged with first-degree murder in connection with the shooting death of a 28-year-old man in the South Surrey neighborhood. Just before 9 o'clock yesterday morning, police say they found Yuvraj Goyal dead in a residential area near 164th Street and 10th Avenue in Surrey. Investigators believe the shooting was targeted, though the victim had no prior police record. iHit says the 4 suspects, who are in their early 20s, were arrested within hours after the shooting when a vehicle fire was reported in another part of South Surrey, triggering a swift response by police. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Some good news for SkyTrain users after a 6-week closure. Service at King George Station on the Expo line is set to resume tomorrow. TransLink says a number of infrastructure upgrades are now finished, including a track replacement, elevator and escalator repairs, and lighting and power rail upgrades. The station was shut down since April 27th. Despite the disruption for transit users, TransLink says the upgrades were necessary as some of the aging infrastructure had not been replaced since the station opened 30 years ago. To Cranbrook now, where City Council has given the green light to turn a portion of a city park into a childcare facility. It's part of a grant application to the province's Childcare BC New Spaces Fund. As Corey Bullock reports, more than 120 families in the East Kootenay City are in need of childcare, but not everyone is happy with the chosen location.
For Cranbrook resident Haley Porter, trying to find childcare has been a nightmare for the single mother. Her son Luca turns 1 in just a few weeks, and she's preparing to return to work.
And it's really hard to keep my cool and just be there for my son when I have this big worry cloud over my head.
Porter says she's put herself on 15 different wait lists for childcare in the community.
Average around 200th on those lists.
Porter's seeking a spot in a licensed childcare facility so a provincial subsidy will mitigate the costs. But at this point, she says Luca will be 3 or 4 years old by the time something opens up. There are unlicensed options, but she says they would cost her around $1,000 a month. It's a common issue, one the city of Cranbrook is looking to help solve.
They've almost given up hope, for daycare. And if you look at how the economy is right now, I think, in a lot of households, you need 2 breadwinners. And they're not allowed, they don't have that luxury right now. They don't have daycare. So, it does impact our community in a big way.
So, city staff took it upon themselves to apply for a provincial grant to fund a new childcare space.
We were sitting back for 3 years, basically hoping that, other authorities or agencies would step up, because typically, daycare isn't a municipal government function.
According to a recent study, more than 120 spots are needed for children aged 0 to 5. The city considered 7 locations for the new space and ultimately landed on Gyro Park. But some residents are not so pleased with the location.
There's a lot of upset people here, not just myself. And I understand about the daycare thing. I'm a grandmother and I know it's expensive, but you know what? This isn't the place.
Carrie Bowman recently planted a memorial tree at the park for her mum.
I don't know if it's going to be a permanent resting place for her, which is really, really sad.
But for people like Haley Porter, the facility is welcomed no matter where it is.
As a single mom, I might have to face homelessness or giving my son up to the ministry in order to make ends meet. And I don't like cutting down trees either, but the need is very great.
Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
A new report by a team of UBC scientists is proposing to relocate some residents and farms in Abbotsford's Sumas Prairie to allow the area to be turned back into a lake. The report's lead author says a managed retreat is necessary because climate modeling shows the area will continue to experience further catastrophic flooding. In 2021, flooding on the Sumas Prairie led to mass evacuations and a class action suit against the city of Abbotsford by impacted residents. BC's premier says he's flabbergasted by the suggestion.
I think it's a very bad decision. It will impact food prices for British Columbians. It will hurt farmers with dramatically higher costs, and they won't be able to farm anymore if it's underwater, obviously.
Much of the Sumas Prairie was once a shallow freshwater lake. The BC government drained it in the 1920s, converting it into agricultural land for settlers and displacing the Sumas First Nation. The report says buying back the nearly 1,400 properties on the lakebed is a solution that is projected to cost around $1 billion. That's less than half of the cost of repairing dikes and installing a new pump station. Today is World Ocean Day, a time to celebrate the value of protecting our oceans.
You don't have to be an eco-warrior to make an impactful change. Collectively, just starting to make some of the right choices, becoming more educated about the issues facing our oceans and our planet, and just kind of sprinkle those into your day-to-day life. And then collectively, we're going to start to make an impact. That's what we have to start doing. We can't lose the faith. We have to keep going.
The Marine Stewardship Council published a survey that revealed eco-anxiety about oceans is at an all-time high. He says individuals can do plenty to aid in marine conservation, including making conscious consumer choices. Almost half of the 2,000 Canadians surveyed say they don't think their favorite fish or seafood will be available to eat in the next 20 years. The top concerns about ocean health are pollution, overfishing, and the impacts of climate change. Teams of miners from across the province are at Britannia Beach this weekend for the BC's 66th annual mine rescue competition. 9 teams are competing in various rescue scenarios with the goal of being the fastest and most effective in an emergency. As Michelle Gomez reports, the competition is all about making sure miners go home safe at the end of the day.
Here at BC's annual mine rescue competition, emergency responders from across the province are putting their rescue skills to the test. The competing group behind me are simulating rescuing a worker who's been injured in a mine. Teams competed in different tasks Friday and Saturday, including a water rescue, responding to a mine fire, and responding with ropes to rescue an injured colleague.
We pray that they never have to use these skills, but sadly that's not the world that we live in.
Dale Konowalchuk has been a miner for 40 years and a mine rescuer for almost as long.
I worked with a guy that was passing a kidney stone, and I didn't know what to do for him. Terrified me.
He's won the provincial competition with his team 13 times. This year, he's coaching.
They really need to have a good temperament in what they're doing because it's very high anxiety, high stress situations. So they need to be able to deal with that.
Officials say emergency situations don't arise often in BC mines, but it is essential teams are prepared for when they do.
It's really all about ensuring that people who work on mines get to go home at the end of each day safe and sound to their family and friends.
Goring says mine rescuers need a diverse array of skills to navigate complex situations, including first aid, firefighting, and more.
A good mine rescuer is a good listener, is intuitive, is committed, is brave, physically fit, who are willing to put themselves potentially in harm's way to ensure that their colleagues can go home safely.
The annual event has been running since 1958 and is free for anyone to watch.
The competitors are very passionate about health and safety and about ensuring that they are ready in case there are any incidents that happen at mines. And so you can see that today they are here to demonstrate their skills as best as possible.
Today's winners will move on to the Western Regional Competition in 2025 and may go on to international mine rescue championships. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Britannia Beach.
For most families, celebrating a 100th birthday is a massive milestone. But for one great-grandmother, this year is even sweeter. Today, the Vancouver senior turned 108 years old. She was joined by her family, including her 102-year-old sister. Take a look.
Happy birthday to you.
Big blow. Yeah, big one. Okay. Big blow. Big one. Turning 108 years young.
Am I really that?
You are really that, yes.
Am I really?
Yeah, we all boast about you all the time.
I didn't know it's my birthday.
It is, yeah. It's June the 8th.
That's right.
You're an old lady,
Minnie.
Keep going as well as you're doing, honey. You're doing great.
What?
I says you're doing beautifully.
Auntie
Just
Sarah
keep
says
going.
you are doing wonderfully. Just keep going.
Yeah, I love you.
Just enjoy everything, she said. That's a secret to a happy life. Just enjoy everything. Mom, you were born in Vancouver in 1916. She was a secretary at City Hall when she was young, but she'd always wanted to be a nurse, which is kind of why she pushed me into it. But she ended up getting a job at VGH as a neonatal unit clerk, and she loved it, and the nurses loved her. But in order to get the job, she lied about her age. So when she became 75, which they thought she was 65, they told her she had to retire. But she had been working for 10 years past when she should have been.
Happy birthday and may all your dreams come true. When we blow the candles, one light stays aglow. It's the love light in your eyes wherever you go. Yay, Nana! Way to go, buddy.
A hostage rescue operation and an intense air assault. Israel carries out its largest rescue operation of the war in Gaza. That's next. Stay with us. Israel has carried out its largest rescue operation of the war in Gaza. 4 hostages have been freed in a major operation which Hamas claims also led to massive bloodshed. For the families of the hostages rescued, it's a day of incredible relief after more than 8 months of anticipation. CBC's Chris Reyes tells us more about those who returned home today and a warning: some of the images in this story may be disturbing for some viewers.
A hero's welcome for the hostages and the Israeli soldiers who rescued them.
Israel just carried out a remarkable rescue operation of 4 hostages held by Hamas. This operation required ingenuity and courage of the highest degree, and our soldiers performed in an unmatchable way.
Those rescued were taken on October 7 from the Nova Music Festival. They appeared in good health as they reunited with family. At the Israeli hospital where they're recovering, an eruption of celebration echoed in the rest of the country.
We had to celebrate. We had to go out and celebrate, and we came here to raise a glass. And we want to raise a glass for the quick return of all of the rest of the hostages.
The rescue operation happened in 2 locations in central Gaza. CBC's freelance journalist on the ground captured horrific images of dead and injured Palestinians left in the wake of the heavy fighting. The Hamas-run health ministry says more than 200 people were killed in the area where the rescue operation happened. A Palestinian eyewitness who was at the Nusayrat camp when Israeli soldiers moved in describes what he saw. The Apache started to bomb and fired directly at people, said Khaled al-Sadouni. There's a large number of martyrs and injured people, he continued.
We are in a situation where people are being treated in other people's blood. The hospital is on its knees.
From President Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron, praise for the rescue, but also a call to stop the fighting.
We won't stop working until all the hostages come home and a ceasefire is reached. That is essential to happen.
David Sanger, journalist and author of The New Cold War, says despite the successful rescue, Israel is sure to face continuing questions over its handling of the war.
Was there a way for Israel to do this more surgically that wouldn't carry that awful casualty count?
On that point, Israel's leadership has expressed only pride in how the rescue operation was accomplished.
Hamas is committing war crimes every day, including the holding of these hostages. Our soldiers are performing in the most valiant and moral way to end this war with a victory against these killers and against these kidnappers, and we shall prevail.
Israel has maintained it will continue its military operation until all hostages are rescued. According to the IDF, 120 hostages are still in Gaza. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Here we have a time lapse of the sunrise over Vancouver this morning. I'll have your full forecast coming up next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
CBC Vancouver is the exclusive media partner of the 2024 Indian Summer Festival, July 4th to the 14th. The festival showcases over 80 artists across a spectrum of arts, from live concerts to discussions and visual arts displays. Tickets at indiansummerfest.ca. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter and keep connected with us.
All right, it is time now to take a look at our forecast. Let's begin with temperatures around the province tonight. 7 degrees is your low in Fort St. John, 13 in Kamloops, and 12 on the island in Victoria. Moving into tomorrow's highs, we're going to see that clear right up and those temperatures shoot right up to 19 degrees in Dease Lake. Prince George is going to see a high of 20 degrees, 27 in Kamloops, and Kelowna, not too different, with a high of 26 for tomorrow. We're going to see some precipitation in Whistler with chances of thunderstorms and a high of 21. And on the island in Tofino with a high of 17 and some rain. Moving into the 5-day forecast in Metro Vancouver, that heat is going to stick around for Sunday with a high of 21. And heading into Monday, similar conditions with a high of 20, but that rain will come back out on Tuesday with a high of 18. Heppel's Potatoes hosted its last Ugly Potato Day at their Surrey farm. If you missed it, no need to mash your potatoes just yet, because the farm's production manager says they are preparing to move to a bigger location for the summer with the goal of growing their food security initiative.
Food costs are really high in the grocery stores, so if you're a consumer, you're wanting to be buying produce that looks perfect, but that's just not the case of how it's grown. So we do these Ugly Potato Days to give back to our communities. We have 8 farmers actually that are donating produce, so we're going to have produce from cucumbers to apples to potatoes to cabbage. There's a lot of people that rely on these events to keep their pantries full and feed their families. So we're just making it really easy. So I reached out to a few farmers, and they were more than happy to donate 10,000 pounds of this and that. Just because a potato is ugly doesn't mean it's still not delicious and nutritious. So I just really like educating people and showing them the good, the bad, and the beautiful parts of farming.
Well, that potato looked pretty tasty. That is your late news for this Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. For news on the go at any time, you can always head to our website at cbc.ca/BC. We'll see you tomorrow.